Hi guys! Do you want to know how to save very sick orchids or at least give them another chance? This video I will take you along showing you how I try to recoup orchids that are very dehydrated and are most of them rootless or almost rootless, that they need some sort of ICU chamber or some sort of high humidity around its leaves in order to save them. If that's the kind of content that you are looking for, please stay here with me and let's dive in, shall we? So I'm sitting here and I have a horror scene for you. What I think it's like a horror scene because these plants, they are very sick and I have a bunch of them. So I've been collecting them since I came back from my holidays, and I decided I will show you what I intend to do with them and how I save some of them and what these plants need. So today I'm going to start with 4 different types of orchid. 3 of them are monopodia. They usually like Phalaenopsis. They grow one leaf after another one. Vandas, Phalaenopsis. I have an Angraken here. And one of them is not a monopodia, it's a sympodial one, very sick one. This one is a Miltoniopsis that have been affected by thrips. So it's stressed, very tiny. I don't know if I'll be able to save it. I've already used some pesticides on it, but I can see the roots are struggling to grow, the leaves are yellowing. And because I don't want to lose these plants, I will create a space where it will probably save these plants or it will help these plants to grow. So first of all, I will start with this one here. This one is the Angraken Leonis. I wanted these plants for a very long time because it looks like a palm tree. It's very cute. The flowers are typical Angraken flowers. White flowers, apparently they are fragrant. I've never seen an Angraken flower in bloom. They've never bloomed for me. I don't have many Angrakens. I think I have a baby, a Sesquipedale that's called the Darwin Orchid, and I have this one. The other one is a baby, and this one, it's a very sad something. Since I received this orchid here, it has never been healthy for me. Didn't push out new roots. Start to dehydrate it. I thought it was the medium. I changed the medium. Nothing happened. What happens here is this plant is slowly getting more and more dehydrated and giving up on living. I don't know if I'll be able to save this one because I know that all the roots are dead and I can see that's very stressed. You can see that the leaves are wrinkly and the plant is very dehydrated. So that's a very serious sign. The plant's not doing well. And again, it's not hydrating itself because it doesn't have any roots. So roots are very important for the plant, for the orchids to hydrate itself and to grow healthily. So plants without roots, no good. And the case of this one is a very serious case. Something's going on here. I don't know if it has an underlying issue or the problem is doesn't have enough roots and it's basically losing water through its leaves, and that is not having anything that will recuperate the amount of water that's losing. Let's put this here. This one is a Phalaenopsis tetraspis. I've bought it, I think, in the beginning of the year. It bloomed for me before once. The thing is, I received it in a tiny pot and I repotted, and it became really stressed when I repotted. It's normal. Some plants, they go through a shock process or they don't adapt well to their new medium. It can happen. But I think the medium wasn't good and the pot wasn't appropriate as well. So what happened is it lost most of its roots. I decided to repot it. And it's been on this medium for a while now, but I noticed that it pushed through some small roots. So we do have some roots here on the surface, but the plant's very dehydrated. How I know? I know that the leaves are very limpy, the bottom leaves are yellowing, and the newest leaves, they are tiny, 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 and it's supposed to produce like very large leaves. So this plant is also not healthy. And again, I could leave it here and see what happens, but I want to give you this plant a better chance to survive because I really enjoy these plants. All of them that are here, they are plants that are special for me. So I want to do something else. That doesn't mean that I will save them for sure, but maybe I'm giving them another chance. I'm trying something new. And we do that with plants that are very stressed out. The next one here, the next monopodial one. This one is a Cedera japonica or Phalaenopsis japonica. I bought it on eBay. The person said she was leaving, and this plant has never done anything for her. Basically, didn't grow much, and it was doing actually fine. It pushed through some new roots and leaves, but then suddenly the bottom leaves died, and all of the old roots are completely dead, and it has some tiny, tiny new leaves. Again, I have no idea if this plant has some issues as well, or if the problem is how it was potted. Would be many different factors, but it's a case of very stressed Phalaenopsis. You can see that they are limp. The leaves are all wrinkly, and I don't have many roots. So that sounds very similar to the other cases. And then the last plant that I have here is my Miltoniopsis Her Alexander. I bought it last year in a nursery here in the UK. It bloomed for me. It was much healthier than it is now. But my Miltoniopsis, they were severely affected by a different type of thrips, a tiny, tiny one. And this one basically munched down all of my Miltoniopsis. It was really, really hard to get rid of them. Every time I sprayed and tried different things, they always came back. This time I did spray with some pesticides, so the case is, because it was really stressed with thrips, the newer growth, the root system didn't touch the median, so it started to become really dry. Miltoniopsis are plants that they need more humidity around its leaves to grow healthily and nicely. So I think it was a mix of stress because of the pests, and then also start dehydrating because the new roots was not touching the median. So we also need to do something in here. It will be a little bit different. I may spray its leaves before, but we will address it as well. If you have any of these plants and you have had similar problems to mine, or if something happened to them as well, please leave a comment down below. Maybe you can help me and can help others. If you have ever tried something to save your orchids, like ICU chambers or plastic bags, I'd love to hear your experience as well. I have here these 4 very stressed orchids, and what I'm gonna do, basically, I will use transparent plastic pots, cups, or containers where the light can come through to the leaves of these plants, but they will be inside of a container, like a chamber. I'll try to build something, an enclosed space where these plants will be inside. Why we do that? Why some people try to save their plants or their orchids, placing them inside plastic bags or creating ICU chambers or something similar to that. Because these plants, they don't have enough roots, so they are dehydrating. So they are transpirating, and we have them losing water through its leaves. When we create these high humidity chambers, what happens is we have more humidity around its leaves, so the leaves won't transpirate as much and won't lose as much water. So the plant will be able to save energy until it can maybe push through new roots. This is not magic, so there is nothing that will increase, or we are not offering any hormone for the plant to push through new roots. Hormones are produced by the plant itself, and if it's ready to push through new roots, if it has enough hormones to create new roots, it will do, but we are increasing the chance of these plants to survive, increasing the humidity around it, because it won't lose so much water through its leaves. That's it. So, for example, in this case here, I have roots maybe inside the pot. I have some roots coming here. So if I increase the humidity, maybe the tiny new roots that are still alive, they can grow and maybe support better this plant if it's not losing so much water to the environment. I'll show you case by case now. So I will show you the tools that we use and explain what I'm doing with these plants. I hope you enjoy it. If you have any doubts or any questions, or again, if you want to share your experience with me and with us in this community, leave a comment down below. I will start with this one that is already out of the pot, and oh my gosh, the situation is pretty sad. Let's start. So I have here a pair of scissors. I don't know where my pruners are at the moment. And I'm going to start with my Sidereal japonica. So the first thing that you have to do is cut all of the dead roots. As you can see, this plant has lots of dead roots. So I will cut the roots. You know that these ones are dead because they are papery, mushy. So if you touch on them, you're gonna see that the roots come out very easily. So I will cut all of this dead material, everything that you have in here. There we go. Now, let me give you some close-ups. I have only two tiny roots and one burned roots. What I'm gonna do now is, very simply, I got this one. You can buy some desserts here that comes with these glass good desserts that comes with these glass containers. So in this case, I will use this one very easily. So as you can see, the plant fits here perfectly. I don't need any holes because I won't be using it. Basically, I wanted the bottom to be wet. So what I'm gonna do here is I place a layer of moss on the bottom of this container, and I place the plant inside, and then I will place a transparent glass or plastic, something transparent that I can cover the surface, and I'm gonna place it somewhere where the humidity will be high. So that's what I'm gonna do with this plant right now. So I cut all of the dead material, and then this is quite good. This moss, this plant's not here for a long time. So I will reuse the moss because I buy New Zealand Sphagnum moss and they are not cheap. They are quite expensive, to be honest. So I will reuse the strands of moss that I can reuse. Just removing the bark from the pot. And I will have a layer of moss here on the bottom of this pot. As you can see, I have a layer of moss here. And I will place my plant on top of it. And to complete the whole process, whoops, it's falling down. What I need to do here is I need to wet this moss. That's very important. I need to have some humidity inside, so I will wet the moss. There we go. So I will wet this Sphagnum moss a little bit. So I have some water here. And in this case, what I'm gonna do is basically making sure everything's covered. And I have this plastic, and because it will be in a shelving without any hole, will be like that. So that's it. I'll leave it like that. I usually don't open my containers much. The things about like offering it fresh new air, you can do it if you want, but my idea is to keep it closed until I can see the plant will survive or not. You will notice over time that the plants start pushing through new roots, or some of them start to dehydrate completely and die. Both hypotheses are viable. It depends if your plant is really sick or it's healthy. Some of them are healthy, so these will be enough for them. We don't know, or we shall see. But for now, I will keep it like that. Next one that I will address for you is my Angraken Leonis. This one won't have any root left. So the first thing that you need to do before I address this, I will sterilize this pair of scissors because these plants are sick. I don't know what they have. I know that I'm dealing with dead material, but in case something's alive in there, and I can basically share disease, share pathogens between the plants, and I don't want to do that, especially because they are already sick. So I will sterilize my pair of scissors. First thing that you need to do is basically cut all of the dead roots. In this case, all of the roots are dead. There is no live root here. I won't even give you a close-up this time because it's gonna be just a plant without any roots. It's quite sad, quite scary, but that's what we have in here. Yeah, I leave it like that. Remove some of these sheets here on the bottom, these dried sheets, because they maybe if we have a root that try to come through, it will be a little bit scared, but let's see. So this one is a larger orchid compared to the other one. It should be at least. So in this case, I will use moss in the bottom of this pot, and I place the plant. I will wet the moss and place that on the top of my Angraken Leonis. In this case, I have a tag. I will save this tag. The same thing, I will wet the moss. Mind to leave the bottom very wet. The tag is here. And then, yeah, I will just cover it. And I will leave it. I may need to place some weight in here just to keep it closed, but that's the idea. So this one, it's one more plant that is there. So this one is the case of my really sad Miltoniopsis that I mentioned before. This case, what happened is, I don't want to take the Miltoniopsis out of its pot because Miltoniopsis are very sensitive plants, especially in regards to their root system, and I can see it's trying to pull some new growths out. So what I'm doing here, I'm removing everything that's dead. That's dead. So I'm trying to check if I do have some more insects in here. They're really good to hide in between Oncidiums and Miltoniopsis leaves. So from the moment that they get sick and get infested with pests, it's a nightmare to be able to clean them. So after I clean the leaves, what I'm gonna do with this plant is simpler than what I've done with the other ones, because I'll keep in its pot. I don't wanna interfere with the roots that I have inside the pot already. I've done that before, since it's potted, and I do believe I have some roots in there. So for me, the best option in this case specifically, it's different from the other ones. I don't need to remove it from here. I will water this plant very well, and I will simply cover it. That's it. If you have already acquired a plant and just potted, but you suspect not doing well, sometimes you can just cover it and increase the humidity without having to cut the roots or place it somewhere else. In the other cases, the root system was completely bad. Didn't want it to be potted. There was no need to be potted. There was no roots, or there are tiny, tiny roots. So I can see if it's pushing through or pushing out some roots or not. But here, with these Miltoniopsis, I will keep it inside this pot. So I will basically water it, like so. They love water. And I grab my wine glass. I think they are great because usually they fit very well. I don't know in this case. If it doesn't fit well, I will grab something else. But it did fit very well with my Miltoniopsis. That's it. I will keep it like that for a while. And it's good. It will be protected from pests as well. There is another advantage here. At least will be a barrier from pests to come through this pot. So I will leave it like that in my shelving, and let's see what happens. And then finally, I have the last plant here, the last orchid. So I will do the same thing. I remove it from its pot, and I use a plastic container, another plastic container, to place my orchid inside. So I need to remove it from this medium. As I suspected, most of the root system is dead. So I need to cut it. I need to check the ones that development is mushy and the root inside is dead as well. And I'll do the same thing that I've done with the other ones. Place some moss on the bottom here. Again, I will reuse the moss that was inside this pot as well. No need to throw this away. Just grab some strands of moss and I'll place here, create a very nice layer of sphagnum moss. The plants love it. Moss is really nice and soft to the root system as well if it's used properly, especially good quality of moss. That takes a while to degrade, which is great. My plant on this soft bed, it's like a bed of moss. But before I do it, I will water this moss, make sure the moss is wet. And don't need to be damp, just wet. And I don't need to do anything more. I don't need to press my orchid or I don't know. I just will keep it here inside and I will monitor it and check what happened over time. I may be able to save it. I may lose them, but they are all here. To conclude this video, that's one technique that can help to save some plants that are stressed or they are losing lots of water because they don't have any roots or they have some underlying issues. But if they are really sick, maybe they won't survive. But we are doing the best that we can here, increasing the humidity around its leaves and maybe possibly new roots or the newer roots that we have, very tiny roots. So I will give you an update if I have any updates on these plants later, maybe next year or later this year. I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment down below, share this video with your friends. And also, I hope to see you next time. I will keep addressing some plants. I have a few of them that I need to repot or try to save in some way. They're not doing very well. And if you're interested in these kind of topics, if you love orchids, please hang with me. And I hope to see you next time. Bye-bye.